The 40 Lessons Podcast is a Shining Starlet Entertainment production.
Time for another week of life, love, and everything in between on the 40 Lessons Podcast. Welcome to the 40 Lessons Valentine Day special, man. We still here talking about love, life, and everything in between. I got a good one for you today. I came up to Baltimore to hang out with pastor of the Messiah Community Church, author, Pastor Hairston. Appreciate it, brother. Thank you for the time.
It's my honor, man. It's great to be with you.
I'm here to talk about cover him and cover her.
We can do that.
Man, we got to do that because it blew my mind when I got into it. So it was definitely something that I had to get on the 40 Lesson Podcast. And I know people just saw me putting the quotes up on my IG. And I was like, what you reading? What you reading? I was like, I'm trying to get him. I'm trying to lock him down so that we can really dive into it. It's rare that I get a one-on-one with a pastor like this. So I really want to just say thank you for being open because I'm not a member of your church, and for you to just show love like that, I gotta give you a shout out on that.
Well, man,
that was big.
I love what you're doing. I love what you're doing, man.
I
want to support you. You've been a real supporter of the things that I've written. So yeah, man, gotta show some love.
Hey, man, I really appreciate that. Tell the people a little bit about you. I know you're a pastor and an author, but I also know that first and foremost you're a husband and father. So tell people about your history and background, because folks might be surprised of a few things that you do.
So first of all, it's a real blessing from God that I'm a husband of nearly 29 years.
Wow.
Right? Because in my background, nobody really made it that long.
Oh, man.
And so
you broke a generational curse.
Amen. And so 4 amazing kids, my wife and I, Sherry, the love of my life, my best friend, my biggest supporter, the one who cheers me on the most.
Oh, wow.
And I'm grateful for her, man, because, it ain't no easy ride as a woman, alongside the kind of leader that I am. I push hard, I drive hard.
And a lot of people pull at you in this role.
And a lot of people pull at me, right? But she's, she holds her own, man. You know what I mean?
That's beautiful to hear, Pastor.
And she reminds me of who I am, you know what I'm saying? And she's been by my side. When you talk about ride or die, that's Sherry, that's my wife. 4 amazing kids, Leah, Maya, Jeremy, Tyler. They're all young adults now, 27, 26, 24, 22, doing their thing.
You got it all.
Man, I'm proud of them, man.
You not empty. You empty nest now.
We trying, bro.
We trying. They
still
still hanging around the house. They just won't leave. See, you've been too good to them.
But you know what? You know what? Their journeys are so different than ours were. Right? So we had to get out by necessity. They get to get out strategically.
Which is a blessing in itself.
That's a real blessing.
We had to get out the way so that mama didn't have to worry about us. She could focus on the next one.
That's right.
Now it's just leisure time. It's like, we good. You can go if you need to go. If you don't, sit for a spell.
Yeah, we're just trying to help them hit the mark for how God has wired them. So we're like, let's figure out how long this takes, and then we'll get you going that direction.
Well, congratulations. That's quite a legacy to be proud of. Little children like me are trying to figure out the way to be able to get in that flow and have that type of timeline and that type of lineage to talk about when I'm in my older years. You know what I mean? But let's jump right into it. First question of the night. Why did you feel the need? Because I see that you qualified. 29 years. You've been making it work with somebody. You found that, at least one other person that gets you and you get them.
Yeah, right.
4 children. You got a dynamic church going on out here. I've heard you speak and teach, so I know you're a dynamic teacher and leader.
Thank you, man.
I was moved by, we also vibed at the men's conference.
Yeah.
We was at the men's conference, and I was just like, here he go, putting it down again. That's what I'm talking about.
Sharper was sharp.
So I see all that's going down. When did you get to the point where you was like, I got to put this on paper? They need to understand the difference in covering him and covering her, and the fact that you separated the 2 books. You didn't make it one entity. You made sure that we could go in separate rooms and get this information.
So, it's interesting. Cover Her was the first book, obviously.
Okay, all right.
And when I wrote, Cover Her was born out of so many experiences that I had growing up.
Okay.
Right? Watching how men didn't really treat women well. Right? Watching the abuses, watching the bravado, right?
And you from where originally?
I grew up in Norfolk, Virginia.
Okay,
right,
all
in
right.
the projects.
You saw some things.
Oh, I saw some
was in Navy
stuff
for
in the
10 years.
projects.
I know what Norfolk
So
look like.
You know, right? You know.
Newport News,
right?
Chesapeake, Center
yes.
City, VA. I'm very familiar.
You know that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, man. So I saw a lot growing up, right?
Okay.
And most of the women that I grew up around were single moms, right? A lot of
Carrying
dudes
the load.
carrying the load, right? And dudes dipped on their responsibilities. But then when I eventually got to the NFL, right, I started seeing similar patterns. Right.
And you were doing what in the NFL?
I was a chaplain in the NFL.
And your team was who?
The Baltimore Ravens.
Oh, okay.
The
All
Baltimore
right,
Ravens.
all right.
You already know.
I'm in Baltimore. You get to be a chaplain for the Baltimore. That's pretty big.
The Baltimore Ravens.
And money didn't solve their problems, huh?
It almost did.
Almost did. Okay. All right. I was just wondering because a lot of people
did.
want to know that. Just because you got money don't mean that it's easy.
Don't mean it's easy. That's
Okay.
right. That's right. Yeah. So the money didn't solve the problems, right? Because what I saw in the NFL was a lot of dudes who were not being nurtured to become the men that they were supposed to be. So a lot of people gave them passes, right? A lot of people wouldn't challenge them. A lot of people wouldn't expect them to rise to the occasion of manhood. And so a lot of them, as a result, they kind of hid behind, right?
The low expectations.
Well, yeah, the great salaries, right? Being in the game, being in the mix, right? Women hollering at you.
The access
right?
I got
the
to things I can give you access to.
Exactly, right? So they hid behind it. And so I used to say that if they're not careful, the NFL can be a great place to look like a man but never become one.
Wow, that's a big statement.
Right.
NFL a great place to look like a man but never become
one.
That's deep, Pastor.
Yeah. So I saw that, right? Dudes looked the part, but because I was their chaplain, right, I was privy to the things that they were struggling with, right? And so, my job wasn't to put them on blast or to in any way denigrate them, but it was to observe what I saw as a pattern, right? A pattern of men who were not oftentimes becoming who they were supposed to be as leaders of the ladies in their lives. And so I'm seeing these
and a lot of them probably didn't even know they were supposed to be the leaders of the ladies.
They didn't know.
Right.
They didn't know.
And that I wanted to point that out because as men, sometimes women think we just automatically come to the table.
We don't know, man.
We ain't got a clue in the world.
We don't know.
We don't know what's going on. We just trying to figure it out too. And if you've been raised in environments such as the ones that that I'm sure both of us come from in some shape, form, or fashion, you haven't seen it modeled to you.
And that's the case, right? So many of us had. That's the key word. Had not seen it modeled, so we didn't know what we were supposed to do.
Exactly.
Be right.
Right.
We didn't have a clue. So my job became to help men understand, right, what our call was. And I'm telling you, there were a lot of guys who were so grateful for it, right? They were grateful for the input. They were grateful for the mentoring, grateful for somebody to walk alongside them, right?
And help them get better.
To help them get better, right? To call out the potential in them, right? Man, I see a leader in you, man. I see a great dad in you, man. You need to marry that young woman, dude. You got something right there.
And as men, we don't challenge other men like that. We just let them do what they do when we know. We've been there before. We can tell them how to do that a little better. We can see the good thing that they taking advantage of, and we don't pull each other's coattail and hold each other accountable as just men.
Yeah, man, and I'm telling you, it's a lot of dudes, right, whether they're in the NFL, any other sports league, or just in the rest of the world, right, who are waiting for somebody who will say to them, man, I see in you.
Wow.
Right? I see in you, man, a great leader. I see you can be a great dad. Right, you could be an amazing husband, bro. You got some great qualities in you. Let me help pull that out of you. Right, I don't want nothing from you. Right, but I see something in you. Can I help you get there? So,
from that we got cover her.
And from that we got cover her.
So I read cover her.
All right.
You wasn't easy on us in cover her. You came right at us.
Yeah, I couldn't be.
First one that really jumped out to me was this one. Eve was made in response to Adam's need. That means we men need women. It's not just a matter of desire.
It's not just a matter of desire.
Why do we need women, Pastor?
Dude, that was a revelation, first of all. We need women because they bring something to the table that we don't have. Right? When God
He purposely equipped us with something we didn't have for him?
He purposely equipped. See, because God has to make you aware of what you need. Most of us as men won't become aware of the need until we sense the lack. Right? And so what God does with us is he brings us to a place where we realize I can't really move forward, be everything I'm supposed to be if I don't have a partner, right? If I don't have a soulmate, right? Somebody who brings something to my life to help me.
Or challenge my life.
40 Lessons, a coach for life. For life coaching services, contact Dumisani Solwazi at thereal40lessons@gmail.com. That's thereal40lessons@gmail.com.
I've been telling brothers for years, man, if it wasn't for women, men would live in boxes and ride bicycles. They wouldn't have no clothes, wouldn't care about no car that they drive. They wouldn't be worried about none of that. None of that matter to them if it wasn't for women.
Listen, so God had to put Adam to sleep. Well, first of all, he let him name all the animals. You know how the story goes.
Gave him that. Gave him dominion over everything.
Gave him dominion over the animals.
Knock yourself out.
He got a job. He got authority, right? But he realized something was missing. And then God turns around and gives him Eve. Now, I can tell you from my story, right, I realized I need my wife, right? Dude, I was hood sure enough, right? But my wife brought a softer side, right? She was raised in the islands where there was a British influence, so she brought decorum, right? She brought teaching me. She
set you up a little bit.
Oh, she set me up. She's like, you know, you don't have to be so edgy about that, right? When you go into this situation, you really should dress this way.
Wow.
You understand what I'm saying? So I couldn't get to where I am if she didn't bring her input and her insights into my life.
Real quick on that part you just said. How was you able to receive that she's giving you this constructive criticism? But when you still a man, you still got ego and pride. It don't, just because, you know, we might walk around like we got it all together, but those things when you especially a woman you love telling you this stuff, how was you able to manage your emotions in that situation?
So I think really, sometimes it was hard to swallow, right? Sometimes I'm like, who you talking to? Who you talking to?
From Norfolk, I got this.
You know what I'm saying? I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing, right? But God has a way of saying, listen to her because she's for you, right? And that's what I would try to show guys along the way, right? You got to know who's for you and who's against you.
Absolutely.
Right? And if she was with you when you ain't have nothing, right? See, so my wife and I, we when we came together, we were both college students. We ain't had nothing.
You started from the bottom. Now you're here.
And now we ain't at the top yet. But we still,
but we rise together.
So I could trust her because when I didn't have anything, she was for me. Right? When there was nothing at stake, she was still believing in me. When all I had was a vision and no reality, she was for me. You understand what I'm saying? So
it's wild that you on that point right there. Because the next question was, I ain't seen you my notes, so I don't even know how you're doing this right now, but I guess God's just moving the right way. The next thing I was going to ask you was, he's better in every way when the woman he loves and respects admires his hard work, excellence in his craft, and positive impact in the world. You was just talking about that, how those things enhanced everything you were.
Everything I was. So, you know, one of the things that my wife says she fell in love with about me, like I said, I ain't had no money.
Okay.
Right? I had a degree. I barely got out of college, but I got out. But I had vision, and I was a man of principle. So my wife says to me when we were dating, she's telling me about this dude on campus, right? She's like, well, I'm kind of, interested in him. I don't know if we're going to have like a permanent relationship or whatever, me and you. I was like, I ain't worried about that, brother.
Uh-oh.
She's like, what you mean you ain't worried about him? I said, because he don't know Jesus.
Uh-oh.
I was like, so you going to figure that out? Right? And she liked that confidence in me.
Absolutely.
Right? She could tell.
Confidence, not arrogance. Which is different.
Yes.
Very different.
Yes.
Feels very different to women, too, when you exude those
I believe
those things properly.
Yep.
Quick thing on quick run back on something you just said, because I always challenge women on understanding the difference between vision and potential.
Yes.
Talk about that, Pastor. A man can have vision. That's cool because we can shape vision.
Yes.
That's something to go after. What's the danger in chasing potential, though?
Real vision has a strategy with a track record of execution.
He said he'd do it, and he did.
And he did it. Right? So when I say
potential, just talk about it.
Potential, just talk about it. Right? And as a matter of fact, you can see a woman can see a dude with potential, but if she's got to get him out of bed, you understand? If she's got to get him going, if she's got to just prop him up on every leaning side, right? Because she sees potential in him. He doesn't have vision. He just has potential.
Wow.
Right? And a woman can never make a man be the man he's supposed to be. Right? He's got to want to be that man. He's got to have a desire. There's got to be a hunger in him to chase a vision. She's going to stand in the
gaps to make sure that he covered and everything.
There you go.
She's going to be the support.
She can support the vision.
She can polish out the rough edges where it needs to be. But it's got to be him.
It's got to be in him. If she's got to cast the vision and get him going to it, then what she's come up on is a guy who's not really motivated to really run after something with passion.
We talking about covering her. I hope these ladies are listening to these gems you dropping because y'all should have your notepads out taking some notes. So Pastor said he got to be this, he need to be that. But that's really what it boils down to. We have such a haphazard way of picking our partners and really not sitting down, understanding who we are, who we belong to, understanding where our faith should be aligned with Christ and how that works first. If you ain't died to him, it's gonna be hard for you to die to anybody else.
That's right.
And that's the first thing you need to understand. You need to have that part shaped out. Once you get those things worked out, then you can because then your conviction is different.
Conviction is there.
You can accept constructive criticism. These things start moving differently for you. Another thing you dropped that I wanted to make sure I touched on when we talking about covering her, unless a man understands how his woman is made and how she thinks, it will be difficult to embrace his call to cover her.
Yes.
Now hold on, Pastor. You want a man to understand how a woman is made and think? Come on, brother. That's a lot. Come on now.
So there's a principle for teaching scripture.
Okay.
Called the principle of first mention. Right, so we always go back to what happened in Genesis 1 and 2 and the early part of 3 before the fall.
Okay.
Right, so God gives Adam Eve. Right, he puts Adam to sleep. He takes a woman out of his side. Right. Adam, before sin enters the picture, has an immediate understanding. One, that God brought him somebody.
This is for me.
This is for me. Right, and that God brought him somebody, gave him somebody, and he didn't have a thing to do with it. You understand? Because a lot of dudes are like, no, I pulled her. I got her because I'm a baller, shot caller.
He instantly knew I was blessed.
He knew I'm blessed.
This is mercy and grace bestowed upon me at this moment.
Yes, he knew it was God. He knew God pulled her from his side. He could feel the little sore on the side. Come on, talk to me.
Yeah. Right?
So,
I'm missing something.
So he's understanding she's made from my side. She's made for a purpose to help me achieve the work that God has called me to. Right? That she is equally valuable and equally capable.
That's key. Equally valuable.
Though we are differently wired.
Wow.
Right? He understood that I have the authority to lead the relationship, but I do not have a call to be authoritative.
Explain that part. So, because see, that's where a lot of confusion started to happen. Because see, a lot of us men make the mistake of he said submit, and they don't read nothing else in the scripture. It's a whole nother 12-6 scripture you need to go through.
If I got to go screaming, woman, you going to respect me because I'm the man.
Battle lost already.
Battle's lost already. Because you don't even understand that respect is gained out of relationship. Right? And so the more that I love my wife, the more she responds with respect. When a woman feels unloved, she feels uncared for, she feels unseen and unconsidered, you ain't going to get a whole lot of respect. She will respect you because she has to, but I'd rather her respect me because she wants to.
Gotcha.
You follow what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And so a man's got to be able to look and see who she is, how God made her, how God presented her to him, right? What her strengths are, what her weaknesses are, what are her dreams and her desires.
The 40 Lessons podcast is executive produced by Shining Starlet Entertainment. For production consults, go to www.shiningstarlet.com.
Right, and I believe Adam could see all of that, and so it was those things that I believe Adam responded to.
But for us, it requires great study.
It requires great study.
It requires us to be very attentive.
That's right.
It requires us to probably listen more than we speak.
That's right.
It requires us to pay close attention to her actions and movements and the things that she gives attention and care to. Peter
said, husbands, dwell with your wives according to knowledge.
Wow.
He said, he didn't say dwell ahead of her. Mm-hmm. He didn't say dwell behind her. He said dwell with her.
She should be walking by her side.
It implies relationship, right? Mutuality. It implies being together, closeness, right? Mm-hmm. Dwell with her according to knowledge. Understand how she's wired. You got to be a student of your boo.
Right. And you gotta make that your only lesson.
Make that
which is why you can't be a player like that, because you get all them other studies mixed up.
And that's a whole nother lesson.
That's a whole nother. Absolutely. Let me keep going on this cover her. So unless his mind is radically transformed by God's power, he will be self-centered, full of folly and indulgent, quick-tempered, unteachable. He will be unable to cover her.
A man cannot cover a woman if he is full of himself.
Ooh, wow.
Because, we can be some selfish dudes. Like
absolutely.
My wife had to remind me sometimes.
Absolutely.
Right?
And with the ratios like it is, it helps the man be selfish real easy.
Selfish real easy.
All these for me? No, they're not actually.
I'm just telling you.
But we get into that mode.
Yeah, there's something wired in us, right? To be about me. Right? And I believe that happened after the fall. That's the first thing that happened after the fall. God said, Adam, where are you? Right? He said, I hid because I was naked. Who told you were naked?
Right.
Brother, the woman you gave me. Right? So he threw her under the bus because he's starting to look out for himself. Right? The whole book, Cover Her, is based on Judges chapter 19, where there's a young woman in the picture and she encounters 5 different guys in groups. 5 different guys, yeah. And none of them cover her. They look out for themselves. They're trying to consume her, and they do, in fact, consume her. Right? Selfishness is in us, and we cannot cover a woman if we're only looking out for ourselves.
And when a woman sees this in a man, when they're in their dating phase and things of this nature, he seems to be selfish. Is that something she can work out of him, or is that something she should stay away from?
Look at here. You can do bad all by yourself.
Oh, amen. Okay.
You can do bad all by yourself.
Okay.
Right? You don't need, if a dude is selfish, right, let God get a hold of him first and then give it time to see if that has changed. Right? People don't change one until there's been enough pain in their lives.
Talk about it.
Right? To change.
Talk about it.
And then change is not authenticated until there's been time enough to see a pattern and a track record.
40 Lessons was created out of pain and failure.
Woo.
I tell people all the time, folks say, they hear me speaking or hear me doing a podcast, people hit me over the message, some say, hey man, that was dope. Yeah, I learned through failure.
Yeah.
This ain't a success story, this is a failure story. I messed it up enough to tell you what not to do. Yeah. If nothing else, I'm gonna tell you what you have a whole list of don't do this.
But I celebrate you for learning from it.
Oh, well, you have to. At some point, you get tired of falling.
Yeah, how about that?
And you figure out how to walk.
Amen.
It's really that simple. The last thing I want to hit on and cover her before we move on to cover him is, because I really want women to hear this one. Emotionally weak men who cave under pressure can't cover a woman.
It can't. There are...
Describe emotionally weak men for me first.
Yeah, an emotionally weak man is a man who, one, he can't take critique, right? So the moment he's critiqued, he always sees it as criticism.
Okay.
And so he becomes defensive, right? He can't stand. An emotionally weak man is a man who doesn't stand for anything principally.
Okay.
Right? So he's not going to stick himself out there if it's going to cost him anything.
Okay.
Right? So, we're called to defend the defenseless, right? But an emotionally weak man, he's not going to risk anything with a cause.
He'll do it if it's guaranteed.
He'll do it if it's guaranteed, and he'll do it if it's going to pay dividends to him.
Make me look good.
But not in order to help somebody else. That's an emotionally weak man. An emotionally weak man still needs his mama to prop him up.
Wait a minute now. He a mama's boy?
He a mama's boy.
That's what we're gonna call
He a
him.
mama's boy. And that's why you see dudes who will get married, but they will let mama berate wife because he can't stand up to his mama and say, wait a minute, the equation has changed. She's now the first woman in my life.
That's my mama, Pastor.
Yeah, exactly. Love mama.
Love
right?
mama to
Love
death.
mama, but let mama know, mama, the equation has changed. She is now my first priority.
And loving mama is also telling mama, this is what you raised me to do.
This is what you raised me to do.
You want me to mistreat her? This is not what you asked me. This is not, you had me in church all them Sundays. This is what I learned.
This is what I learned. This is what I'm supposed to do.
This is what I'm supposed to do.
In fact, if I do this, everybody gets better. Everybody gets blessed.
How important in it, before we get off of this and move into cover him, how important is it for us to make her feel like we stand up for her? To step in the line of fire when someone gets out of line with her. How important it is for that man in that woman's life to step in and challenge that situation.
That's physical and emotional covering. Right? A woman needs to know, she knows that you are for her, you care for her, if you will step in front of the situation.
Absolutely.
Right? And you ain't got to step in it like you ready to, fight, right? But at least be ready to step in and say, hey, this is not how this is going.
This is not how this going.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? And so she's looking to see, will he defend my honor? Mm-hmm. She's looking to see, will she take the hit? Will he take the hit for me? Right? So she knows what she has by virtue of what he's willing to take. So here's a situation. I can give you a story about this. There was a guy who was abusive toward my wife.
What?
Yeah, a guy was abusive toward her, and
At work?
No. This is in her younger years.
Okay.
And so I was like, no, you getting out of that. I was like, no, we going over there. We packing your stuff up.
And you leaving.
And you're leaving. I got this. I was when I learned about this, I was just, we weren't even a year into the relationship.
Wow.
You understand? But when I knew that happened, and that she felt somehow like she had to still manage being around that person, I stepped to him. Dude was, I ain't no big dude.
Right.
He was a big dude. I was like, nah, this ain't going no more.
How do you, in that situation, Pastor, because that leaves some trauma, right?
Yeah.
Emotionally for her.
Yeah, absolutely.
She don't just walk out of that situation and then everything's cool because you came to defend my honor. I appreciate you doing that, but I'm still carrying some things. As men, how do we navigate what she's carrying, what she's been through, what has scarred her, wounded in some cases, haven't killed her, it didn't take her out, but she's still dealing with it today. How do we navigate those waters with a woman that you're trying to love and now bring into this more healthier situation and show her something that in most cases she probably has never received and probably don't know how to handle?
You should always assume that in everybody's story there's a pain point.
Okay.
Right? Everybody's got a pain point in their story. Right? So when I'm coaching couples, right? I coach leaders, I coach couples in the NFL. One of the things that I have them do is go back through their stories with each other. But when they do that, to talk about the things that hurt along the way, right? Because sometimes we don't know it or we didn't hear it.
We got to share that pain.
We got to share that pain, right? So you can cover a woman who has scars and who has wounds. One, if you just assume there was probably something along the line that hurt her. Right. Right. And then ask her. In the book Cover Her is a story I mentioned of this young woman who is, she's abused. In this case, it was sexual abuse, right? All night long. The Bible says this in Judges chapter 19. Her boyfriend, concubine, sees her lying on the threshold after she's been out with these dudes who abuse her all night long. And all he does is comes to the door and says, get up, let's go.
Wow.
He knew where she had been. He knew what happened to her. He ignored the condition that she was in. When if he was there to cover her, he would have said, I got to help her recover from this. Right. You understand what I'm saying? And what I've suggested to men, like when I preach at conferences, right, this woman that you have could be lying on the threshold, and I'm using it as a metaphor of life, right? You see behaviors, you see things that just seem, right, like I don't know where this comes from, right? Like she probably sees that in me too, by the way. You understand what I'm saying? So it goes both ways. But I'm talking about a guy covering a woman. When you don't just dismiss those things, but be man enough to say, I'm here.
Step into them.
To help you recover from what happened. Always ask a woman, tell me about your relationship with your dad. Right, I write about that in the end of the book, because
Absolutely.
if she had a rocky relationship with her dad, it leaves painful places in her life. And now you need to know, get yourself equal. Like, how do I care for her, right, when she has not so pleasant memories about her dad? You understand what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So it takes some intentionality.
I'm sure it does. A whole lot of focus and intentionality is probably going to be needed in there. I'm telling you, as a man, I could be on cover her all night, because I'm always trying to suck them gems up to make sure I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. But we gotta transition. I don't want the women inboxing me and stuff. Like, all you did was talk about cover her. You know what I'm saying? How we cover him? So let's transition into that. Let's transition into what the fellas, they probably out there saying, yeah, how she supposed to cover me, Pastor? What's she supposed to be doing? You telling me all this stuff I'm supposed to be doing. What's she supposed to be doing?